In some of these cases, the there you're looking for
is not there.
Is not there.
Oh!
They mad. Looks like he didn't
they
want
mad.
to
They mad.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given...
What?
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there.
Uh-oh. Wait, is he preparing people for the gentle letdown, or?
Right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. In some of these cases, the there you're looking for
is not there.
Is not there.
Oh! Yes! I've been saying this for 10 years, and now the conservatives are in power, and now they're saying the same shit. No shit, motherfucker. There's not a giant conspiracy. There is no deep state. There was no top-down COVID virus manufacturing plant in China. There was no Epstein, Hillary Clinton kill list. Yeah, no, none of it's there, you
And I know people, I get it. I understand.
Yeah, because you fuckers have been telling people there have been for years.
It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria?
My God. This is what I mean when I say there's no virtue. I do mean that, and I said the same thing this morning. Keep in mind, just imagine for 1 microsecond, where did the Her report come from? Think about that. The Her report came from Merrick Garland, Biden's attorney general, appointing a special counsel, independent investigator to investigate Biden for documents that his team found and turned over willingly to to NARA or whatever and the FBI. And that's where everything from Her comes from, under his own administration. Meanwhile, Republicans will say lawfare, Democrats weaponize the Department of Justice. But what is Trump's track record on investigations into himself? Well, let's see. All the investigations into him are now dead. Thank you. Now that he's in office, he's targeting every single law firm that worked with anybody that was in political opposition prior to this. He fired James Comey in order to try to kill the investigation into him when he was in office in 2016. It's just not even, it's so unbelievably cucked. Do you know how many hours Trump has sat in front of anybody for any of his presidential conduct when it comes to deposition, when it comes to giving, when it comes to doing interviews with like the FBI or anything else? Zero, nothing, zero, absolutely nothing. It's actually so unhinged. It's actually so insane. It's actually so insane.
I want to get to a few specifics, and I know you can't talk about any active investigation, so and our viewers understand that. But how come we don't have more information on the assassination attempts on President Trump?
Yeah, the fuck?
There's 2 reasons. Okay. 2 open, ongoing prosecutions. So 2 of the investigations are obviously closed because the individuals are dead. But there's 2 live prosecutions, and so we can't get ahead of the federal court case. A lot of that information will come out in the federal court cases, but we have personally invested our time in making sure that we have looked at any possible international connections to terrorism and adversaries alike. And we've both been down to Quantico. We've both done the laboratory testing. We've both seen the explosives analysis. We've both seen the firearm and physically held it. We are all in on these investigations.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However,
they're pretty boring.
I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. if there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand.
Wait, you're telling me Soros didn't hire these hitmen to go after God Emperor Trump? Oh, wait, what does he mean by that?
It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
Well, the other issue that's been talked about recently is this mortgage fraud and the FBI opening a formal case against Letitia James.
So again, ongoing cases, and we take our ongoing investigations very seriously because we don't want to do what our predecessors did, which is talk about them ad infinitum in the public and then nothing happens. This case, I can tell you, is being handled by our professional pros who are subject matter experts reporting directly to headquarters, which reports to Dan and I. This case, along with others, because it is a case of great public importance. And unlike other leaders who previously sat in these seats, we don't.
Wait, hold on. PBD slapped.
You want me to get? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work.
Well, I guess case closed, guys.
Hey, guess what?
I guess we figured it out.
I love Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino looks like he didn't want to.
He
killed himself. He killed him. I don't know.
How much do you believe them, Vinny?
Adam,
Cash
they
Patel,
work for the intelligence
Dan Bongino,
community.
high credibility in your eyes, right?
Anything that
What
has to do with the
percentage do you believe
Epstein,
him?
I don't even know what the hell to believe from anybody anymore. And to be honest with you, killed himself, whatever. I don't, at this point.
86'd himself.
Exactly, thank you. I don't care.
Doesn't even make sense. Like, why would a guy who got caught for and was being prosecuted for sexual encounters with minors, who was old and was basically going to lose every single thing in his life and was basically looking to spend the rest of his days between a courtroom and a jail cell, why would that guy kill himself? Like, why would you even do that? Right? Why would he do it? Who knows?
Do you know what I care?
Do you believe Epstein killed himself? Yeah. See, if you read the actual prison report, he almost certainly killed himself.
About Ghislaine Maxwell and all the people that she knows and all the customers and all the 10,000, by the way, tens of thousands of hours of Epstein and his people having sex with underage children. Where are I want arrests.
I don't know what it is in the conservative ethos. And it's not just conservatives, actually. I guess everybody kind of does this. Everybody has the fantasy. Maybe because people think about kids a lot or something. I don't know. Everybody has this fantasy that when you become rich, the first thing you do is you join some massive pedophile org and you all start kids and getting blackmail on each other and trading pictures of it and everything else. That's why the whole obsession with the Diddy stuff from Candace Owens exists, is because everybody's really, really, really desperate to finally have evidence of this point. And Epstein was going to be finally the guy that would show all of us the true child sex parties. And that's what everybody now everybody feels like they were deprived of that.
I want those people. Kill himself, that's okay. We're not stupid. We know what happened. If they say he killed himself, whatever. Maybe they gave him an ultimatum, Adam. Or maybe they're like, hey, listen, we're going to shut the cameras off. You at least better do it, or else it's going to be hell or high water for you. So maybe, I don't know. I don't care at this point. I want the customers. I want the people that were at that island. I want the people that were on those tapes. I want them exposed. This doesn't do anything for me. I don't believe anybody anymore. I don't. I actually don't.
I mean,
that's what I want. That's what I think the people want. I think everybody out there wants to know who are the people that were there. If Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail for selling and sex trafficking girls, human beings, where are all the customers? You can't arrest Tom for being a drug kingpin and no other arrests are made. It doesn't make any sense. This I don't care about. I don't care.
That was a close one.
Yeah.
Don't expose me.
Yeah. But
you don't care about that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
Adam, because you know what, Adam? We're never going to know. We're done. All the stuff that lined up, the cameras were off, the guard was gone.
Exactly.
All of this weird stuff is just weird when you're getting a certain set of facts and you're not getting the full story. And all of it kind of looks weird, but then when you get the full story, it's deeply unsatisfying. You're like, oh, I got it. Never mind. This sucks. But
cellmate was on. I don't care. We're never going to find out. I want the people that were hooking up with kids.
If I may. I don't want to weigh in on you guys going back and forth, but I'm going to say this. Did Hitler kill himself?
We don't know.
Hours before, somebody else was probably going to do it for him.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
So did Epstein hear that, okay.
Why were the cameras off? the cameras were off because the jail was like, or the prison just had a very, very, very shitty maintenance record. It seems kind of suspect that only that camera would have been off. But when you actually read the reports, it wasn't just that camera that was off. Half the cameras in this prison were not recording because they had been fucked. And there were maintenance requests that had been put in for weeks prior to Epstein killing himself they were just slow on responding to everything. The reality is that the state of our federal prisons is pretty sad. This prison had a decent amount of problems, and Epstein obviously was a high-profile figure, and that brought a lot of attention to it. But people kill themselves in prisons, and dumb shit happens in federal prisons a lot. And when you read the actual report, it was a really poorly run place. There were a whole bunch of issues. We just like spotlight some of the Epstein stuff, and we assume that something like really crazy happened when.
Okay, look, the thing that went down in Florida, you got out of that. There's no getting out of this one. That's it. That's not where it's going. And you know what? You got a couple choices here. You know, you're going to get it, or you can take the way out and do it yourself.
Well, there's a lot of people that think that Adolf Hitler ended up in Argentina, and, as well as a bunch of other Nazis.
Pretty.
Okay, well then
feasible.
Step back from
I
that
don't know.
one. But
I mean, I wasn't there hanging out with the guy. Kanye was, though.
How many cornered serial killers or cornered killers off themselves moments before the police are finally going to come through the door, right? We see that all the time.
Wait, did somebody just say never?
Before the police are finally going to come through
or did you say the N-word? Wait, what? Sorry.
The door, right? We see that all the time. It's the cheap way out for the killer who doesn't want to go to prison and doesn't want to be arrested and doesn't want to be taken alive. You'll never take me alive.
What you're saying is, Tom, that whether he did it himself or someone else was going to do it, it was inevitable.
Yes, that's what I think. That's what I think. And there are other people out there that seem to think that. So could Cash and Bongino, both are friends of the podcast. We talked to them, just full disclosure. Mm-hmm. But, are they speaking the truth about it? Yeah, I'd like to think that both of those guys that we think highly of are speaking the truth. However, in speaking the truth, it's okay. Why did he do it at that time? And then it sure seems pretty convenient that cameras go off and the things changed in the detention center. That happened. Those cameras were off. The guard moved. The roommate went to another cell. There's some things that happen.
Like, it sucks because like all of this stuff was part of a huge pattern of problems, but nobody here actually read the reports. So.
Happened there that aren't explained, and say, okay, guys. That's it. But what about the rest of your police investigation, Cash? I'd like to hear that. Okay, what about the rest of the circumstances that went down with the guards, with the cameras, with everything else? What about the rest of the circumstances, even though you and Bongino were saying, we've seen the pictures, we've seen the file, we're looking in there, that is a suicide, no signs of struggle, okay, I'm calling that. Okay, what about everything else? I want to see the full explanation.
Yeah, seems highly questionable. By the way, do you know who weighed in on this whole Epstein thing?
What evidence would you need to believe that he didn't kill himself? I mean, like a single shred of evidence pointing otherwise, other than just kind of like super random circumstantial stuff. Like, it has to be more than like isn't it weird? Like nothing, none of the forensics, nothing pointed to the fact that there was another person involved in killing him. There's literally nothing for it, unfortunately. But I mean.
Elon Musk. Do you have that clip, Rob?
Yep, right here.
Yeah, Vinny just texted it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this is weird. Did you see this?
Yeah.
I do want to ask you about U.S. aid and the comments that Bill Gates made the other day, which and I know that you called him.
Yeah, he's a huge liar.
I know you've said that already.
Oh, huge
liar.
Wondered.
Also,
and I'm just.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given?
What? That's like all of Bill Gates' philanthropy has been around like helping like children and Africans and shit dying of like malaria and AIDS and everything else. I feel like this is like a huge concern, like a major focus of Bill Gates' philanthropic work over the past few decades. What? Call him a pedophile. Do it. Elon, do it.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, I cummed. Yes, based.
Okay, well.
Ooh, wow, applause break.
Applause, so brave.
He said he regrets those, and he spent.
I wouldn't trust him to babysit my.
Bro, you don't even know who watches any of your kids. You have like 27 kids, like spread throughout random women around the world.
kids.
He's got a lot
Of course you
around
wouldn't.
the world over the years. My question to you is, have you looked at the data to check if he might be right
Nope.
that the cuts to USAID might cost millions of lives?
He has no idea, bro.
Yes. I'd like him to show us any evidence whatsoever that is.
Bro, I would pay so much money to see Bill Gates debate Elon Musk about fucking anything. Oh my God.
They
But
certainly
you
have
notice
beef.
her, she's like, yeah, but he helped so much. The Melinda Gates and all that, brother, they're shutting that down, aren't they, Rob? The
Dan
Melinda Gates.
Bongino and Kash Patel, the energy was very different pre-getting in the job.
Yes, sir.
Versus once they got the job. So it's either they find out who's holding who hostage. It's either they put stuff in front of them to say, here's what we have on you, which I don't think that's the one, but that's the second thing. It's either they realize they need that to be able to control assets. Other people are holding
the schizo
the
posting
people in
time.
the White House
Yes.
hostage. Or
Schizo.
they're just telling the truth.
Schizo post
And
with
you have
me.
to believe it. And the last one is the fact that they may have given him weapons and said, kill yourself. So forever they could say he killed himself to categorically make it right that they're not lying. But he didn't kill himself. You know, it's a different kind of a situation, you know, that he was in. But Adam, your thoughts here, and then we'll move on to the last story.
I like how you kind of give the options here. I filtered it down to two options. Number one, it is the truth, or at least it's truthiness, right, that he offed himself. Or number two, which I actually think is way more likely, is that
somebody else told him he did kill himself, but it was when somebody else told him to kill himself.
there's a big difference between talking about what you're going to do when you get to the job versus actually seeing what the hell's going on behind the scenes when you get the job as the FBI director. So my assumption, never had the opportunity to be the FBI director. I know you chat GPT'd like what qualifications on a daily basis. You're going to see things that you never thought you would see. And you're going to see people's names that you never thought you would see. And some of those people may be presidents or billionaires or foreign dignitaries. And they're going to say, listen, yeah, you might expose this name with Jeffrey Epstein, but you also might bring down half the world. So what do you want to do? In my opinion, when they get this job, they see things that they didn't think that they would see. And they say, yeah, he definitely killed himself. Okay, moving on. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. Last but not least, Stephen A. Smith went on Vinny.
On him? On him? On top of him? Epic.
Are you going to continue to spend at that kind of level on future elections?
I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Enough to my company.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Nice.
And where do you see that going?
Brad, why don't you go first?
Well, I actually don't know what is meant by JQ. It gives me a little bit of pause
Don't worry, I
to
gotcha.
guess what that might mean.
It's a Jewish question.
Justin, do you want to explain?
Jewish question.
Okay.
We gotcha. Don't worry. I'm your resident Nazi
So,
expert.
Secretary, Noam, what is...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to get...
My question is more about your work at Doge, for example. Was that worth it? You know, to the extent you are now, Elon, you were a somewhat divisive figure 2 years ago, but now you really are. I mean, there are people who love you, but there are a lot of people who dislike you, some of whom were your customers. And I wonder, was it worth the undertaking at Doge and everything else that you've done and how outspoken you've been in terms of the things you believe in to antagonize so many potential buyers and or users of things like a robo-taxi?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, what I've learned is that legacy media propaganda is very effective at making people believe things that aren't true.
Isn't it a bit weird for him to not know what the JQ is? Brad Palumbo, in my mind, from what I've seen him on Twitter, he comes off as a very like mainstream political coded kind of person. So it's not that surprising that he wouldn't know. He might know what Jewish question is. I'm sure he would, but I don't know if he would know like JQ. I feel like it's a little bit more kind of like the online Nazi lingo-y thing. Or he just didn't want to acknowledge it on like public on C-SPAN because it feels kind of niche-y internet Nazi stuff, maybe. But
It's very effective at making people believe things that aren't true.
What would an example of that be?
That I'm a Nazi, for example. And how many legacy media publications, talk shows, whatever, try to claim that I was a Nazi because of some random hand gesture at a rally where all I said was that my heart goes out to you, and I was talking about space travel. Because of some random hand gesture at a rally where all I said was that my heart goes out to you, and I was talking about space travel. And yet, the legacy media promoted that as though that was a deliberate Nazi gesture, when in fact, every politician, any public speaker who's spoken for any length of time has made the exact same gesture. And yet there's still people out there. And
no videos of it, though.
I've never harmed a single person.
No, listen, you know what, Elon? I wasn't.
Now,
you
asked for an example.
I wasn't even going to talk to you about it because, in fact, I do know a number of people who are close to you, and I called them afterwards, and all of them, to a person, were like, "No way, no way."
Of course not.
Let me ask you about the dinner that's happening this Thursday night. The president has offered access to him to the 200 top purchasers of his meme coin. Reports are that maybe about half or more of those individuals who are meeting with him, many in a VIP reception, are foreigners. Do you have a list of those foreign individuals who will be meeting with the president?
I don't. I don't know anything about. I didn't even know there was a dinner on Thursday night, so I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Fuck! I have to stop. I got to stop giving away this dress, guys. I'm sorry. I'll stop this, okay? Because I'm giving it away for free. It's not good. It's the unbeatable. I haven't heard of it. How do you expect me to comment on a thing that I just don't know anything about? Why would I know anything about one of the most corrupt, probably the largest amount of money ever raised for a president in the history of the entire United States, just to have a dinner with him through anonymous donation? I wouldn't know anything about that. I've never even heard of that.
I don't know anything about. I didn't even know there was a dinner on Thursday night, so I'm not sure what you're referring to.
So you don't know whether any of the foreign individuals who are going to be meeting with the president this Thursday night, for instance, are on our list of sanctioned individuals, or whether any of those individuals have connections to,
don't care,
terrorist organizations abroad.
Well, I think if they had terrorist links, the Department of Homeland Security probably would not have allowed them into the country. But I don't even know there is a dinner on Thursday. You're asking me about something I don't know about.
Well, but listen, this is a dinner that the president is having. It is likely going to involve some very significant foreign interests. You have to be pretty wealthy in order to be able to get inside this dinner. Isn't that a relevant question for the Secretary of State?
Yeah, I'm not the social
Which foreign
secretary,
interests are going to be speaking to the president? I mean, it's kind of naive to believe that they aren't going to be in that room talking about national security matters.
Wait, why does DoorDash ask you for a tip after you've already tipped? Rate your delivery driver, add it to tip for your DoorDasher. But I already gave him a tip. So why would I give him a second tip? Bro.
Well, I don't think that that's the case at all, because I would be aware if it was the case. The truth of the matter is I interact with government officials and others and governments of other countries. That's what I'll tell you, you're asking me about a dinner I don't know anything about. I can't answer you because I don't know anything about this dinner. It's the first I heard of it. Like I said, I don't keep the president's social schedule. It's not on my phone. It's not in my pocket. I don't even know. I can't comment on a dinner I know nothing about.
Yeah, I think that represents a real problem for this committee, because there is clearly a way around the State Department for foreign individuals of significant influence and wealth to be able to directly lobby the president of the United States.
But I don't think
your
that's
answer
fair.
is that you don't know this is happening.
Well, I don't know that there's a dinner.
That in and of itself is
I don't know that there's a dinner, and I don't know what the guest list is, but I can tell you I've run into the president of FIFA from the World Cup. He's here all the time. I see him. He's a private individual. It's not a government entity, and he's met with the president and is friendly with the president. He doesn't have to go through me to meet with the president. The president has relationships and friends and people he's known for a long time. Some of them are foreigners. That's not unusual.
Yeah,
but you're asking me about a specific dinner and implying nefarious impact. I can't comment on a
meeting with
a
the
dinner.
president. I think you should probably endeavor to get your hands on the list to make sure that there aren't individuals there who are perhaps contravening national security interests that the
Well, I don't
Department
think
of
that's, I don't
State
have any
is
concern about that.
prioritizing.
Ultimately, I don't have any concern that the president having dinner with someone is going to contravene the national security of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Wow. Did you see the DHS not know what habeas corpus is?
Secretary, Noam, what is habeas corpus? Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country. That the president has. Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am.
Suspend their
Habeas
right
corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
President
habeas
Lincoln,
corpus.
So maybe I'm too content brained, but all of these hearings are literally for TikTok content. That's the whole point of these things. I feel like the senator, she shouldn't interrupt her at all. She should let her continue to explain. I would very much like to hear you talk for a minute. Tell me what you think habeas corpus is. That's a pretty astounding thing for somebody in this position to not know.
Excuse me. Habeas corpus is the legal principle that requires that the government provide a public reason for detaining and imprisoning people. If not for that protection, the government could simply
do secret arrests,
people, including American citizens, and hold them indefinitely
with no trial
reason.
And no charges.
Habeas corpus is the foundational right that separates free societies like America from police states like North Korea. As a senator from the live free or die state, this matters a lot to me and my constituents and to all Americans. Support the core.
I would end it here. Like, I'm sorry. I just let the record show that the fucking what is her job? She's head of the Department of Homeland Security. Doesn't know what habeas corpus is. Well, how can you not know this? Wait, what?
Secretary Kennedy, things are not going well. It's clear what you are doing across HHS is devastating to children, families, seniors, millions of Americans that HHS programs support. Now, you were required to send us an operating plan detailing how you are spending funds that...
Did he not do this either? Did none of these fuckers do a budget? Or do they just not know how to? Or, hello?
Congress provided for programs that families rely on. You sent us what you titled the, quote, Hill version, which had over 530 asterisks in place of the funding levels. Mr. Secretary, we need the real version with actual funding levels. This committee needs to know how you are spending taxpayer dollars right now and what programs you are cutting and which you are eliminating. You are blocking billions in funding that Congress appropriated from going out the door, including $3 billion at NIH, $1 billion in Head Start, and $3 billion in child care funding alone. And that's on top of all the other funding you have illegally ripped away. $11 billion from state and local health departments, $1 billion supporting local substance use.
Aren't big corporations going to benefit the most from no tax on tips, especially with the machines taking tips and everything now? Yeah, it's just stupid. Like, one, yeah, it creates perverse incentives in an employment environment. Like, by the way, when you subscribe to my website now, there's going to be an option for tipping Jader and stuff, because I'm going to stop paying these fuckers a wage and you just pay them with your fucking tips, okay? Just kidding. Well, I'm saying that, like, kind of jokingly, but it's true. Like, these are the incentives that you're going to be creating in this environment. It's really stupid. So you create bad incentives. And then also just the theory behind it. Like, your tips are your wages. This is what you get paid to work. Why should you not pay taxes on them? Why would you not? I don't understand that. What is the rationale there? You should pay taxes on your tips because that's your wage and you work and we pay taxes in this country.
And mental health programs, and $66 million in Title X funds for cancer screenings, birth control, and preventive care. We know you're dismantling HHS and throwing away generations of investments in our healthcare system and firing critical employees. We are talking about the people who administer Head Start, LIHEAP, Meals on Wheels, or entire teams who are working on preventing chronic disease and Alzheimer's, tracking IVF success rates and safety, maternal health, more. On top of all of this, you propose a budget now with truly devastating cuts that would leave America sicker and weaker. But you're not waiting to see whether Congress approves that budget proposal. This administration...
Ooh, that's a really interesting question. Does it include exemptions from payroll tax? Because that will fuck Social Security otherwise. That's true. That means that if you're getting tips and they're not taxed, you're not paying into your Social Security, which is also weird. It's just such a stupid idea.
...is starting to unilaterally implement it.
How did you find August? You just looked right after July.
right now, in defiance of Congress and the laws we passed. If you aren't already, you're sprinting down the road of illegally impounding billions in funding through intentional action and incompetence. So to my colleagues on this dais, we heard several weeks ago from experts across the country what...
Why did Kamala adopt the idea? Because it's a shitty, stupid, fucking populist idea, and Democrats love their populism when they can get in on it.
We risk...
Have you actually been to a strip club? Like twice in my life. I hate them. I think they're mega depressing. Not good.
We heard several weeks ago from experts across the country what we risk by ceding American leadership on biomedical research. If we bless these staffing and funding cuts across HHS, that means deciding that we are comfortable with China leading the future development of every drug, device, and vaccine. The supply chain challenges we faced during the pandemic will be the new normal. Our access to the latest treatments and cures will depend on...
True! Nobody wants to talk about that because the only fraud that people care about are frauds that rich people do. Wait, where did that comment go? Wait, fuck. Oh, Alifer. I think people are just upset that it's harder to tax fraud tips like they used to now. Wait. I think people are just upset that it's harder to tax fraud tips like they used to now. Wait, I don't get... Actually, never mind. I don't get that comment at all. I read tax fraud and tips and harder, and I assumed we were saying the same thing, but I actually don't know what your comment is. Now you don't have to do tax fraud on tips because now they just won't be taxed. But...
other countries. It's time to stand up and assert Congress's authority. This committee has dedicated itself in a bipartisan manner over decades to make sure we are the global leader in research and development. And now all of us know this administration is now setting us...
That is what he's saying. Okay.
...back where it may take decades to regain that position. If we don't, decades of scientific breakthroughs and medical discovery and the bipartisan work to support them risks being...
He's been responding to people on his website. I respond everywhere. I definitely watch my cake chat, okay?
...burned to the ground, and it will be very, very hard for us to rebuild that. We should be setting this country up for failure. We have to do better. Now, Secretary Kennedy...
It's easier to not report cash income from tips, but now basically everyone pays with cards, so the transaction software automatically reports the tip income on your paychecks. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, true. Even when I was working back in 2008, 9, I feel like did the majority of people tip with card? I think back then it was like 50-50. But I didn't work in a traditional like tipped setting, like it was like a diner. So maybe it was different in like in a traditional restaurant. Maybe people did cash tips more often. But even when I was working back then, it was a lot of it was done via card.
Listening to your testimony last week, frankly, left me pretty confused and concerned about what is happening at your department. You repeatedly claim that staffing and funding cuts that have been reported on publicly and even confirmed by your department staff are not happening. So either you're lying or you're not the one making the decisions. You said, and I quote, "I made sure that Head Start was not cut," later going on to say there should not be any delays, the funding is there. Well, Mr. Secretary, HHS is delaying billions in funding for Head Start and childcare. These funding delays meant that a Head Start program in my state that serves more than 400 children had to close its doors and left parents scrambling. So let me ask you about another child care issue. Secretary Kennedy, whose decision was it to withhold child care and development block grant funding?
Senator, I want to point out that
that's fake
in
news.
2021, at the beginning of his administration, President Biden submitted his budget on May. You know what? You made an accusation of me, and I'm going to answer it.
Okay, I appreciate
on May 28th.
We're going to talk about Biden, goddammit.
So our budget. We're a new administration.
Okay, you can. Go
and I also want to point out.
I have just 2 minutes left. I asked you a specific.
I want to
question.
point out something, Senator. You presided here, I think, for 32 years. You presided over the destruction of the health of the American people.
Well,
our people are now the sickest people in the world.
Seriously.
Because you have not done your job.
Seriously. That is an
What have you
amazing
done about it? What have you
Mr.
done about the
Secretary,
epidemic
I am here
of chronic
to ask-
disease?
Of
Mr.
autism.
Secretary,
What have you done?
What have you done about the autism?
epidemic
God
of
damn
chronic
it.
disease?
Seriously, Madam
Mr. Secretary,
Chairman.
I would ask it to hold back and let the senator ask the questions.